We are in the studio of Liza Myers, and I knew Liza way back when she had her school that was going on right near the Artisan on Maclovia.
Yeah.
And you ran the school for how?
Well, that place I only ran for 5 years.
Okay.
But before that, I've taught in South America and in Vermont for many years. And I ran a children's program there, and I taught in a public school there, and I taught in a college there. So I've been teaching a while.
And I kind of looked at your history, and you were kind of a migrant animal for a while. I mean, you were raised in Mexico, or you spent time in Mexico?
I lived there for a couple years, and then we moved back to the States, and then we moved to Nicaragua, and then we moved back to the States, and then they moved to Colombia, and they sent me to boarding school because there was, in Nicaragua they sent me to boarding school because there was no secondary education for girls in the town we lived in on the Mosquito Coast, on the Caribbean coast. So they had to put me someplace, and they put me at a wonderful school in Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
Okay, an art school, or was this?
That was boarding school.
Boarding school.
That was high school. Yeah.
Okay.
And then they moved to Uruguay and then to Paraguay, and I moved here in 1970 when I was young.
Yeah.
Younger.
You moved to Santa Fe?
Yes, I did. Okay. Yes, I did in January of 1970.
Because I also read that you spent some time in Taos and
And from here, I kind of ended up west of Taos on the river, on the mesa. Not on the river, but up high. And I was there for 6 years with no running water or electricity.
Wow.
And it was just the way it was. You know, we were saving the world.
Yeah.
Remember those days? You were too young.
No, I remember those days. I do. Yeah. So you're kind of a Renaissance woman because you do watercolors, you do oils, you do acrylics, you go 3D, you do
Mud.
Sculpture, mud, you write.
Yes.
Okay.
I play guitar.
You were in a band, weren't you?
I was.
So you knew you were an artist at a very young age, or how did this whole thing start?
One of my earlier memories is sitting on a big cinder block. Not cinder block, but cement slab from road construction down on the other side of our property, which was in those days seemed huge. It was 5 acres outside of Baltimore. And I would dig clay out of the drainage ditch, and I'd make coil pots out of it and watch them melt in the rain and then come back and make them again.
Wow.
And I made clay figurines, goddesses, like I still do. In 3rd grade, I made a Venus figurine.
Wow.
And I got in trouble because she had breasts.
Oh, okay. 3rd grade, you're not allowed to have breasts.
I guess not. Yeah, it was, I had that forever. I don't have it anymore. It was pretty cool.
And then what was your art training? Because you besides your sculptural work and your writing, you do acrylics, you do oils, you do watercolors. Were you formally trained?
I did go to, I have a BFA in ceramics from UNM. And then I went to South America for 4 years and taught in a school in Asunción, Paraguay. And then I came back and I did grad school at Maryland Institute College of Art in Baltimore. And that was in ceramic sculpture. So I have not formally studied painting. But that's what I'm mostly doing these days.
Painting. And this is a piece that you're working on now, this triptych here?
Yeah. I love ravens. I love canyons. There will be petroglyphs, very subtly placed, like the one's up in the background there, but probably not as apparent. I love to include the ancient in my work, not only the animal, but the ancient. I just feel an affinity towards the ancient. I don't know what else to call it. The rocks are ancient and the birds are ancient, and it's all fairly related,
Are you working more in oils now or acrylics?
This is acrylic. I did work in oil. But I stopped working in oil because I had children in my studio and I didn't want to expose them to the solvents.
Uh-huh. And teaching has always been a passion of yours?
I love to play with kids and adults and help them move on, aspiring artists learning techniques. It's just too much fun. I really miss it. COVID is not a good thing.
Yeah. My favorite time was being a parent, and now I have 10 grandchildren,
Oh
so
my
now I
God,
get
I'm
to
so
spend time with
jealous.
teaching them. And
Lucky you.
I was actually spending the weekend with my grandson, teaching him how to ride a little motorcycle. So
I've seen the videos of you riding the motorcycle. Yeah, I've seen clips of it anyway. Yeah.
And your work now, are you showing anywhere, or what's
I have work in True West Gallery at 140 Lincoln Avenue,
Okay.
but just down the street from the Fine Arts Museum. But they had to downsize because of COVID, and so I have most of my big work back.
Uh-huh.
They just have some 5x5s. So I think that's they might have some 8x10s, but they had to. They had to do. Did you ever go there? They had two sides, and now they're down to half of what they
Okay.
were.
I've noticed there's a lot of gallery space available that wasn't available, before COVID. And how did COVID affect you as an artist? We're coming out of it now. We don't have masks. The city doesn't require masks
Yes,
now.
I'm vaccinated.
I'm vaccinated. We all have to say that now.
Yes. Yeah, well, hurrah
yeah.
that it's there. Hurrah, I'm just so grateful to science.
And that downtime, as an artist, everything kind of slowed down. And did it pull you into your work more, or what happened?
It sort of just knocked me for a loop, along with other issues, other things going on. It was really hard to focus and have faith that it was, not religious faith, but belief that it was going to get better. Very disheartening, scary as hell.
And you kind of had some good news that just happened, right, with the Philadelphia. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that's exciting.
It's very exciting. Yeah, probably the last 15 years, I've been painting a lot of nests. As you can see around the room, there are a lot. This one I did for a show in California at the Ganawalska Museum in Santa Barbara.
Oh, okay.
And so it's a California landscape, and the museum is on a property called Lotus Land. So I threw some lotuses in there. But the Philadelphia Flower Show, I got a call one day from a lovely woman named Barbara Allen, and she said she'd seen a photograph of me on the web of me curled up in a human-sized nest that I built with my students, college students in Vermont. And at one studio class of Intro to Studio, we all went outside and we gathered sticks and stuff.
So you built a real nest.
Oh yeah,
Cool.
There's a picture, I'll show you. I'm curled up in it, and she saw that, and then she called me and she asked if I could build one. And so I'm on my way a week from Thursday, the 27th. I go
Build a nest.
to build a nest in downtown Philly in a park where the Philadelphia Flower Show is taking place. It's been going since the 19th century.
Wow.
And it's quite a deal. I actually went there about, 30 years ago. I went just very briefly. I was in Philly for something else, and so we bopped by there. But it's quite an amazing event. Usually they have 250,000 people there.
Wow.
But they've cut back. They're only going to have 150,000 because of COVID.
Things
I'll
are
take it.
getting back. They're starting to come back.
And I have a wonderful group of artist friends who are going to meet me there and work with me to help me get stuff done.
Are you planning on getting back into teaching again, or what's your
I think
goals now?
I have to wait till COVID's clear and
Yeah.
some other health issues.
Sure.
So I would love to have a group of little guys in here, or adults. I'm still very close to some of my adult students, and
So you've taught children and adults.
I've taught K through grad school plus.
Wow.
I always said for my studio classes, my summer arts classes, which I called Armadillo Arts. In Vermont, that was an odd thing to have Armadillo Arts, but I had a pet armadillo when I was in Paraguay.
Really?
Yeah, and it got me a fellowship into grad school due to sculpture that I did based on the armadillo. I did clay pieces that evolved into very abstract pieces, sort of like the Monet paintings, where you see his paintings of the trees, and then they evolve into just beautiful lines. And is it Mondrian? Anyway, they all did that,
Yeah, yeah.
Those who went into abstraction.
And what about this piece here? This looks like a fun piece, this big jackrabbit.
I love,
jackrabbits?
I do, and I love Jimson Weed or Datura, whatever you want to call it. And I just wanted to paint something that made me happy.
Yeah.
And jackrabbits are just such mysterious creatures, They're jackrabbits and ravens together.
And if someone wants to see more of your work or get in touch with you, you have a really nice website because I've been on it. And that's LizaMyers.com.
Yes, and it's there. I don't have that superfluous, useless extra E. I'm MYERS, not MEY.
MYRES.
No, ERS.
ERS.
Yes.
MYERS. So Liza, MYERS.com.
.com, yes.
Check her out. Thank you for opening your studio. Thank you for being our
Thank
Artist
you.
of the Month.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay.
Thank you so much.